my name is Alex Early, and the topic I am going to present for my persuasive speech is women in combat. Women have taken a part in combat roles for centuries, yet somewhere along the lines it became uncommon and unnecessary for women to be in combat. However, even with these societal norms, women have led their way through combat positions for centuries in the United States. According to the website Sisters in Arms article, A History of Women in the Military, women have a history that extends more than 400 years into the past, throughout a large number of cultures and nations. In our own nation's history, more than 400 women served on the Union and Confederate sides in the Civil War by disguising themselves as men. Talk about guts. During the World Wars, female troops were limited to non-combat roles, but women still served through nursing, clerical, and supporting roles. Women were finally recognized as a permanent part of the armed forces with the passing of the Women's Armed Services Integration Act of 1948. In 1976, the U.S. military academies would accept female students, and then later in 1980, Congress would reinstate the selective service registration. In 1981, the Supreme Court rules that the exclusion of women in selective services does not violate the Fifth Amendment. However, later in 1983, women would be allowed to pilot helicopters in armed conflict. Women would still be restricted later when in 1988 the DoD would exclude women from combat units or missions that risk exposure to direct combat, hostile fire, or capture. Yet women would rise to the occasion again in 1989 when a woman first commands U.S. combat troops. In 1992, the Presidential Commission of the Assignment of Women in the Armed Forces recommends integration based on qualifications rather than on gender. And in 1993, Congress repeals the 1988 risk rule, while Jeannie Leavitt becomes the first female Air Force pilot. In 2013, Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta announces the DoD is rescinding their previous rule, and women would continue to be integrated into military services from then on. Unfortunately, even after women have worked so hard to be integrated into the military, there would still be biases held among the services. According to CNAS's article, The Mostly Good News on Women in Combat, there is opposition on the treatment of women, and in any modifications on performance standards can create the perceptions that women are not meeting the same expectations as their male counterparts. It does not help that Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis says there are too few women in the infantry ranks to provide enough data on how it's going, when according to an article from Military Times, there are almost 800 women serving in infantry, cavalry, and fire support across 5 divisions alone. And this is supposed to be considered not enough. Women have unique abilities. In another Sisters in Arms article, it was mentioned that as long as the applicant is qualified for a position, one's gender is arbitrary. It is easy to recruit and deploy women who are in better shape than many men sent into combat. In the same article, it is stated that women are more effective in some circumstances than men, allowing women to serve double the talent pool for delicate and sensitive jobs that require interpersonal skills not every soldier has. The integration of women in the military can be made easier by providing support in any healthy way possible. Career development and mentorship can increase the possibility of achieving critical mass in female personnel within combat units. Exposure by far will more than likely be the best way to change mindsets about women's capabilities. According to a CNN article, at least 16 nations, including Israel, allow women in combat roles. This is a beginning step towards exposure, but a step nonetheless. An increase in studies of this topic would be beneficial as well. According to a Brookings article, a study can provide important empirical information that both the Marine Corps and Army can use to inform their future policies, if they are directed to fully integrate women into all military positions. Female service is the next vital step to our nation in means of security and expansion to confront threats. For now, all we can do is hope that military leaders will learn more from each other and female service members as they continue down this path. So, as I'm hoping you can see that my standard on this, or my persuasive speech, is to persuade you, the audience, that women should indeed be in combat, and they are more than ready for these roles, and it should be considered acceptable, no matter what. Thank you for listening to my speech.